What is going on, everybody? It is Matt with VFF Mediators in the Faceoff Sports Network. I am joined by Tyler here with me. Coach will be in here shortly. We have a SuperFlex tight end premium mock draft we're going to do tonight. It's going to be in the chat if you want to join us. There's still, I think, 8 spots left. So feel free to jump in. I'll put the link in there again. If you're here, like the stream. Comment your rookie questions. If you're on the clock, let us know. If you've got questions about players, we're here to answer those. So, Tyler, you doing all right tonight?
Yeah, man, I am ready to get into a mock, kind of see where these guys land as far as um, after the destinations have been decided by the draft.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see kind of what the face-off community thinks of these rookies, where they're at, what they think that these guys are worth. I mean, there's a lot to like. I mean, I just saw a draft a few minutes ago where Cam Scadaboo went at the 108. That's
Wow.
pretty dang high. Like, that's a lot of conviction. That's a lot higher than I would take him. You know, he's kind of been drafted in that 203 to the 206 range. I know we were talking about that earlier. How high would you
Mhm.
draft him? I don't know, man. Everyone's got a different taste.
Well, I think it's kind of like what you said earlier. He's the people's running back, right? Like kind of like the
Mhm.
people's champ at this point. Nobody really dislikes him. Everybody likes the way he runs the ball, and he's in a good spot. He's competing with Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary for the Giants starting position. So I mean, I get it. If that's your guy, you go after him. But I'm not taking him at 108. Not whenever you have the likes of Caleb Johnson and R.J. Harvey, who have significantly higher draft capital to situations that are eerily similar.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'd rather have Caleb Johnson. RJ Harvey is an interesting case. It's kind of weird. He got drafted higher than Caleb Johnson, but a lot of us like Caleb Johnson more just because he kind of fits that bell cow role in Pittsburgh. What will RJ Harvey be? He's a smaller guy. Can he handle the workload? There's a lot to talk about. I know we discussed it a little bit last night, but I think right now as it stands, he should be drafted higher than Cam Scadaboo. I mean, Cam Scadaboo was a third day pick. Yes, he was drafted at the top of the 4th round, but he's still got to compete with Tyrone Tracy, so he's going to have to beat him out. What's going on, Zach? I hope you joined the draft. I have not checked in. Looks like you're in there, so
Yeah.
good deal. You're with us. Great deal. As soon as we get this filled up, we will get this thing rolling. So we appreciate you jumping in the draft.
Going back to the Caleb Johnson stuff, I've been in several drafts that have kind of started here after the NFL draft has concluded, and that's kind of my sticking point is in between trying to decide between him and RJ Harvey, and I've really found that like I'm probably just splitting the guys 50-50. I'm diversifying a little bit on that pick. I'm trying to spread out my
Yep.
assets. I don't want all exposure to one guy versus nobody else. So that's kind of one thing I've noticed. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, there's a point to diversifying your roster and kind of getting more players. Um, I think I've got 7 or 8 drafts rolling right now. So I'm kind of all over the place of drafting guys. Some of them I've got several shares. I was telling coach, I think my current most drafted player, I think, is Taj Brooks. I think I have 3 or 4 shares already.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have a share of Scadaboo yet. I've got 2 shares of Tootin that I can think of, 2 shares of Genty. So I diversify, but a lot of times I just play in tiers. So I just want to find the guys that are in the range of the picks that I have that I believe in or I have conviction on, and I kind of go from there.
Yeah, yeah, and based drafting is the way to go. At any point, if you've got somebody who's like a tier two running back versus a tier one receiver, like you may get at the end of the first, early second round, stuff like that, or even as you go down the ladder, right? You've got running backs that are in the third tier and so forth. Um, those that's definitely the way to approach it, as long as you've got them all tiered out. So that's the way to kind of go. Zach says he's on a mission to bump up Ollie's ADP. Ollie Gordon. So he's being drafted in the third right now, if not being picked up off of waivers. So you got a lot of work to do there, Zach.
Yeah. Pizza, he just joined the draft. He's a big Ollie Gordon guy.
Mhm.
I'm out here in Oklahoma, so I guess you'd call it the privilege of watching his good season in 2023. And I had the not so great privilege of watching him in 2024. It was not pretty. A lot of times there's a lot to be desired, but you could go on and on for the reasons beyond that. That offensive line is terrible. Mike Gundy's offense has been the same for the last 20 years. So there's a lot I could say about Ollie Gordon, but I do think he's a good player. So there's a chance he could earn a role. He could earn a spot. He's certainly a big guy. I mean, yeah, like you said, that team was trash. It was terrible, man. Like
Yep.
I saw him at least once in person, maybe twice. Bad. Saw him in 2023. So much better.
Hmm. And I think that goes back to, everybody focuses on the draft, the production before they go into the draft, right? That year before. And he's a prime example of that case. He fell a lot because his tape last year wasn't as good as 2023. And so I feel like a lot of people focus on that whenever maybe they should look at a little bit more comprehensive work, those breakout ages whenever they have their first really good season where they kind of dominate their competition. I think that's probably a little bit more important than some people may kind of think. So I think it's something to be interested by at least. Maybe take a share or two here late in the third or fourth round.
Well, we've got a couple more spots, so if you're in the chat and you can't get in, let us know. We will send you the link again if you don't have it already, and we will get this draft rolling as soon as it fills up. It's going to be a 12-team SuperFlex tight end premium, 4 rounds. We're going to go through, watch everyone's picks, make some commentary about that. Really excited to see where we end up drafting. We've got some sharp managers in here. I know there's a lot of guys who are excited to kind of plan out how they're going to handle their draft class and what picks they're going to make. I mean, Tyler, you're sitting here at the 4 spot. I'm at the 6. Coach is at the 11th. He'll be in here to join us here shortly. But I'm excited to do this, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach is probably going to show me how you're supposed to draft from the 111. And Tristan in here, Loveland at 1. Hey, that's there you go. If that's what you want to do, you go right ahead. Tight end premium. If you're going to do it, it's at least a tight end premium league to do it. And Albert asked how
Albert,
many spots
we've
are
got 4
available.
spots.
Yeah, there's 4 left.
4
So
spots.
the link should be in the comments up above here. So you can scroll up through there and kind of find it
I'll
and
throw it in there
join.
one more time. I got to thank Tristan. He's in a league with us today, and he let
Yep.
Colston Loveland fall to me at the 201. Easiest pick I've had so far. Made another trade to immediately get the 202. Went and got my guy, Matthew Golden. So it was a good day for me in that league. I'm very happy with that draft. I'm probably done. No more picks, but after all those picks I made today, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the league where it was me and you in the championship last year, and you beat me. And so the point where, you had a whole lot more picks, you're a little bit more savvy in terms of moving up and down the draft board, and I really didn't have any way to move other than my players. So, and I fired off some offers, but no luck so much. So I think I made 1 trade, but it works out. It's okay. We'll see how it
Yeah,
rolls next year.
I oftentimes get pretty aggressive. Some could say I make too many moves or I blow up my team a little too early, but I don't know, man. I just want to keep retooling. I believe in my strategy and my ability to just find a way to wiggle out of issues. Coach talks a lot about how sometimes when you make a trade, you have to also think about how am I going to get out of this trade if it blows up in my face? And, the
Yep.
first ever trade I did, I lost. I lost to Coach. He beat me in that trade. And ever since then, I have vowed that I'm going to do what I can to not lose another trade. So I always try and just keep that in mind and make the best move possible for my team.
Yeah, and I think that's good advice too. Try, obviously everybody wants to win every trade, right? Like that's the whole point. But at the same time, I think it's also something to be said too, where in these rookie drafts, people get rookie fever. They really want the rookies that come in, and sometimes it's not really worth blowing up your team, just to acquire a rookie pick, and selling guys on cheap. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. We had talked about it in a separate video about kind of strategies and you know being cognizant of where your values are, if you can trade up or trade back from picks and all that. But it is what it is. Everybody has a different style that they play, especially when it comes to draft season. And I can't fault you. Your draft strategy has worked so far, my friend.
Hey, doing the best I can, man. Gonna get this posted. Just need a few more, and then we'll get this thing started. So bear with me here.
Yeah, 3 more spots. Hayes comments and says, "Can you tell Tristan Loveland isn't good?" I don't know that you're going to get that out of Matt, especially if he's taken 10 overall by the Bears, and you're definitely not going to get it out of Coach. So,
Well, let's park there for a minute. When the Bears drafted Loveland, Coach was not happy. There was a lot
nope.
of words said, and he did not really enjoy that pick. He was more of a Warren guy over Loveland. I've been trying to talk him off the ledge and let him know that there's still a lot to like about Colston Loveland. He's only 21 years old. There's a lot for him to grow into. He didn't have the ability to get the target share that Warren did at Penn State. I mean, Michigan did not throw the ball like that. The quarterback play this past year was terrible. But when he did play before, he was fantastic, man. So I like Colston Loveland in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean he's definitely a like a more pro style, ready um, tight end there. He came from a system in Michigan where they're a little bit more apt to running the ball versus passing, like you said. And guess what? It worked for them. They won a national championship doing so. So I don't think he's bad by any means. I'm a big Warren believer as well. That has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a Colts fan. I liked him more, coming in as well. I think he provides a little bit more, maybe so, than Loveland does. People, talk about his ability to have wildcat packages and stuff like that. So it will be interesting to see how the tight end race shakes out. And we're going to get the draft started here. We've got the Roman Empire with the 101. Let's see where he goes.
Yeah. Well, Hayes asked us, Tyler, in all seriousness, what's our thoughts on the future QB1 of New Orleans? Tyler Shuck, man, a lot of people are going to say that he's not good. The injury history, I'm personally not concerned about it at all. He's going to be just fine. He's got the experience. He's 27 or whatever. Coach likes to make fun of him because he's already been married for multiple years. So he's an older, different prospect, but I do think there's a lot to like. If you go back and watch his tape this past year, it was pretty solid coming out of Louisville. The Notre Dame game is fantastic. I challenge you to go and find better tape out there because there's not a lot. He made some incredible throws. That one in the back of the end zone, it's one of the best throws I've ever seen. I mean, it's fantastic. So I think there's something to like about Tyler Shuck. He lands with Kellen Moore, whether you like Kellen Moore or not. He has produced one fantasy viable options and two successful quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'm okay with it. I like it. There's weapons there for him to work with. Yes, they've got a lot to improve on. I know that's not what you want to hear because you are a Saints fan, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree there. I'm on the clock here in the draft, and I just want to kind of tell my pick here. This isn't super flex, so it's kind of chalk coming off the board here. Genty, Travis Hunter, and Cam Ward. And I think my pick is probably pretty obvious here. Going to keep it chalk, and it's going to be Amari and Hampton, who landed with the Chargers. Should kind of forefront that backfield there. Back to the QB1 situation in New Orleans, though. I like Shuck, in the position that he's in with Carr's injury and such. Maybe he'll throw a few less murder balls across the middle of the field to Chris Olave. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it works out. I think it could be interesting for sure. I don't necessarily think he's going to be some all pro or something like that, but I think he could be serviceable. So Hoff says Pete's draft is going to stink. Well, I guess we're going to find out because it's his pick. After I took Omari and Hampton, we had T-Mac come off the board. Matt took Travion Henderson, and then Emeka Egbuka came off. Matt, you want to talk about your selection a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty high on Travion Henderson. I like the landing spot with the Patriots. I think that them making that move and making that pick says a lot, in my opinion. We'll have to see what happens with Ramondre. I'm not worried about him. He's had the fumbling issues. Antonio Gibson there having the fumbling issues. So he steps into what I believe to be an immediate role. Tyler, if you'll just message coach and let him know he's on the clock.
Yep.
But, I do think that a lot of people are taking Judkins ahead of Henderson. And I'm kind of to the point, too, where I feel like Henderson and Hampton should be talked about together. I know that's kind of a hot take, and a lot of people don't necessarily like that. But in my opinion, I think that there's a lot to like about Henderson's profile. I think, okay, coach is in here. But, I think Henderson can work. We have Ibuka who goes next. Pete takes Judkins. Like Hoff said, Pete's draft's going to stink. We already know that he took Judkins. So then we've got Loveland off the board. Harvey goes to Hoff at the 110. Coach takes Caleb Johnson at the 111. Cam Scattaboo goes at the 112. That's an interesting pick. That's pretty high. That's a couple picks earlier than his traditional ADP. DeRoman's back on the clock here. I do want to say Zach thought it was Superflex. It is a Superflex. So you're good.
Yeah.
Taking Cam Ward, just fine.
You were correct. Superflex tight end premium. So, that you were correct there. So you're good where you're at. I've seen people take Amari and Hampton over Cam Ward, especially depending on situation. So, me and Matt were in a draft earlier where we had the 102 and 103. Genty actually fell because Travis Hunter was first, and we were running back needy, and we took both Hampton and Genty. So it was kind of a great way for us to start our draft off.
Yeah, I mean, that draft, we're having a fantastic day. Our next pick was Matthew Golden. Here to start off the second round, we've got Tyler Warren. Great pick at the 2-1 in the tight end premium league.
Yes.
The quarterback play is not necessarily great, but I do believe in the player. So as much as we were talking about Colson Loveland earlier, I do believe in the ability for Tyler Warren to be successful. Christian, we see your question. We will come to that after Tyler makes his pick. We'll jump back to that.
So, I really like both the receivers that went ahead of me here in Matthew Golden in the first round to the Packers and Trey Harris to the Chargers. I haven't had really the opportunity to draft either of the guys left on the board between Burden and Higgins, but I'm going to take a shot on the guy that was maybe going to land in round one, even though he's in a crowded room currently. I'd take the shot on Luther Burden here and see if Ben Johnson can't figure out a way to use him.
Yeah, I like the pick. Coach is a big Burden believer too, and he kind of got to that point where he wasn't sure what to do. Wow, Tyler Ferguson goes at the 205. Big time pick there. Pete's a big Ferguson believer. We'll talk about him in just a second. Here at the 206, I'm gonna go with Tootin. I've drafted Tootin at the 206 twice now. I do like his situation. I think he's got a chance to take over that backfield. So I like that situation. We'll talk about some of these players. Let's hit Christian's question really quick, Tyler. He says, I have the 101 and the 102 in my rookie draft in IDP league. I'm thinking of taking Genty Hunter. That is absolutely what I would do. Whatever order you want to do. If you want to keep people on their toes, maybe take Hunter first and make them gasp a little bit. But I'm with you. Take both those players. I think that's the right selection.
Try to change up the ADP one pick at a time.
Yep. Tristan says Tyler got a dog. Yeah. Luther Burden, I mean, the situation's not great, but I do think there's a world where DJ Moore is kind of maybe going to get phased out. Not necessarily this year, but maybe next year. Drafting him was partly a luxury, but also we know in this league that you need big-time playmakers, and Luther Burden is just that. Going to be fantastic out of the backfield, manufacture touches, the screen game. So I think there's a lot to like about Luther Burden. Just might have to temper expectations year one, but that's a situation for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting back, to the draft here, we had Jackson Dart go at the 207 after Matt picked. Great pick in the Superflex, still a first-round quarterback to the Giants. I'd really love to have known what was going on in Pete's head at his pick there at the 208. I know he really likes Jaden Higgins, and he also likes another player that hasn't gone off the board yet in Mason Taylor. So I'm curious how he thought about that. Betch went next at the 209, and then Jalen Noel is off the board at 210, and MacArthur, coach, is back on the clock here. So let me text him, let him know that he's on the clock again. Matt, do you have anything with these picks here that you might have changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dart going at the 207 and a Superflex, great pick by Austin. James adds no Scattaboo. Come on. Scattaboo actually went at the 112, so higher than usual, so you might not have saw his name there at the end. I think that the Higgins, Betch, Noel picks are interesting because you're just kind of at that tier break of wide receivers of what do you do. That's kind of where I was struggling at the 206. Coach takes Blue at the 211, followed by Shador Sanders at the 212. Both interesting picks there. I mean, Blue's going to be a guy that's a hot commodity in a lot of leagues. I've seen him go this high. I've seen him fall in the third round. So I think it's just something we'll have to see. The Ferguson pick here is definitely interesting, but again, this is tight end premium, so we're kind of just approaching it a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Blue and Sanders picks are very interesting there. Typically, those guys are kind of more available in the third round. So, I mean, if you're convicted on a guy, you think they have an ability to kind of break out there, I don't hate the picks at all. Mason Taylor did finally go off the board at 301, followed by Jalen Milroe. Very polarizing prospect. He is one heck of an athlete. His only question is, can he hit those intermediate and short throws? He can throw a deep ball, but man, those he struggles in the short and intermediate areas. And then followed by Ollie Gordon, who we were talking about earlier. So here we are. I'm at the 304. Um, Man, this is always tough. You get down to this. Um, you're in this area. You're kind of looking at situations here. For me, I'm probably just going to go with a shot at a wide receiver room that we really like, and that being Jalen Royals. Um, I like Fannin a lot here too, but being behind Njoku, it kind of puts me off from this spot at least.
Yeah, man. In the third round, this is where we eat, man. Coach is saying all the time, buy the third, find a way to get these players. Someone's ultimately going to hit from this round. It's just a matter of who. I'm gonna go back to the well here, and I'm gonna take a guy I've been drafting all the time in the third round. That's Taj Brooks. I like his situation in Cincinnati. I think he has a chance to get on the field pretty early. There's a lot of names here. I was going to try and live stream it. I had a draft where I had 6 straight third round picks, 6 in a row.
Wow.
And I went through and I took several different running backs in this area. So I really like it. Albert adds that Njoku is a free agent after this year. You're not wrong.
Yep.
And I also think Harold Fannin has the ability to get on the field and be added in some different ways that aren't typical for a tight end. I mean, he can line up an H-back, be in the backfield, be a wing. He's really, really athletic, so he's going to find a way to just get in space and make some moves. We do have special guest appearing if he's ready here. We've got Coach.
Yes.
How's it going, Coach?
Harold Fannin can't block anybody. I mean, I get on in this. Coach. Harold Fannin can't block a soul. Okay. It's easy for me. Well, Eric Io Manor.
There we go.
Count it.
Coach, what's your thoughts on the draft so far? Anything you'd change?
Yeah. Scatterboo got drafted entirely too high. Terrence Ferguson's interesting to me in that spot. Like that jumped out at me. Like I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Tight end premium, I get it. Like I think he's going to be pretty good. So, I mean, I do like it. I like the player. I don't know if I like the spot, but sometimes you just go get the guy you like, I guess,
Well, James asked us, Coach, where should Scatterboo be going? Tyler and I were talking about how typically in the drafts I've seen, like I said, I think I have 8 going. I've seen him go from the 202 to the 205 is the general area. I have seen him go at the 112 one time. And I told Tyler I saw earlier today, not in the draft I'm in, but I was watching. He went at the 108. So I think that's way too high. But the 203, the 205 range, that's pretty standard in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same belief there. I mean, I think that makes sense. The 108's a little bit too high. Like we kind of talked about earlier, when you're going against people with much higher draft capital that these teams could have taken and spent on Cam Scatterboo, that's where I kind of draw the line. I'd rather have the higher draft capital player that the team obviously preferred over him. So I think probably in the mid-seconds, probably about where he should live.
Well, I do think outside of Henderson, Hampton, the obvious 4 running backs, well, I'll say Harvey and Johnson. Everything outside of that is really, really dicey. Like, it's really scary. Like, I understand you take them there. Whether I took Blue, because I see people doing that, and I was kind of mixing that up a little bit, just kind of see how things fall. But all those running backs are scary. Like, what's going to happen with Tootin? What's going to happen with Scatterboo? These other guys, I mean, they're all coin flips. Like, can't feel great about it.
Yeah, here in the 4th round is now where we're taking some of our real dynasty sleepers. I mean, we see Devin Neal go off the board. Tyler Shuck in the 4th round is an absolute steal. Probably should have taken him in the 3rd. I didn't even realize he was still on the board. But I see Woody Marks. Tyler, you take a Rondé Gadsden as kind of your dart throw here in the 4th round. I know we talked about him a little bit yesterday, but give your thoughts. I'll talk about my dart throw, and then we'll get the coaches when he's on the clock. And
Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
we'll run another one. We'll run another one
Yeah.
after this. We'll send the link.
Yeah,
absolutely.
let's do it.
So my pick there with Gadsden, we've talked about it, ad nauseum between us three at least. A lot of people forget Gadsden is also a second generation NFL player. A lot of people like to say that about Mason Taylor, and they're like, "Oh, well, he's just the end all be all." Gadsden is in a great spot. I feel like he's really only competing with Will Disley, I believe, if he's still there. And I don't even know if Smart is still there, but he's in an offense that they want to let Justin Herbert loose. That's why they drafted Trey Harris. And they also want to be able to run the ball as well. So I think he'll find a way onto the field pretty quickly here this rookie season.
Yeah, I like it, man. I think he's in a good landing spot. I mean, Stone Smart is on the move. He's out of the Chargers lineup, so he steps into a possible role. Great pass catcher out of the backfield. For my 4th dart throw, I take Ja'Cory Cross-Key Merritt. I mean, this is a guy who got drafted to the Commanders. I think he's got the chance to step in. Really successful at 2023 at Arizona. Temper expectations. He was a 6th round pick, so he's got to make the team first. But I do like his ability on the field. If you go back and watch 2023, he was really, really successful. Really high efficiency, great metrics, and broken tackles, missed tackles forced. Yards gained, yards over 10 yards. All the things you want to see with running backs, he was fantastic at it. So I like his situation. I like his ability to get on the field. But, Coach, you are on the clock here with your 4th round darling, and you got sniped.
Yep.
I did. Hoff
Sure
sniped me
did.
there. That's okay, though. I'm going to pivot away. I mean, man. Like, the problem is when you break down all these different prospects, they all look like, man, this guy could be good. When you sit here and look at it in the 4th round, this guy's got a chance. But I'm going to go with the quarterback that has a slight bit of opportunity here late in the 4th. Give me.
Ooh.
I mean, let me have Will Howard. Like
I like it.
I mean, he's got there's some opportunity there. Like, and if he gets on the field and gets a couple starts somehow, then there's value immediately. At least value above a 4th round pick.
I like the take there, Coach. I think that's a good pick. Like you said, in the 4th round, he's stepping into a chance where he might play. Like, would it shock you if he started the season? Let's say they don't get Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's competing with Mason Rudolph. Who the heck knows? Will Howard was really, really good through the college football playoffs. So I like that pick. And what we know is these quarterbacks, when they find a way to get on the field, you can trade them for way more than what you drafted them at this spot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. And I do. I mean, there are some other guys there that are really interesting to me. Of course, Tyler's boy Torrey Horton's sitting there. Pat Bryant, like I do like Pat Bryant in that spot too.
Yes.
Late in the 4th.
Hey, Coach Hoff says, "If you ain't first, you're last." Just so you know.
I hear him. I
that
Hoff
was a good
busy.
draft.
I thought Hoff had something going on.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up another one. So if you guys are still in here, be sure to like the stream. I will put the link in the chat so you guys can join and draft with us again. Coach, keep talking. Talk about Pat Bryant, because something I do want to mention is he is generally going undrafted. And most of the drafts I've been, he is not drafted in the 3rd round, not drafted in the 4th round. But go ahead. I'll set up this draft.
Yeah, which is interesting considering his draft capital and just his overall athleticism, right? Like Isaac Tesla, like Hoff took him there. That's a great spot for somebody the Detroit Lions gave up 3 third-round picks to get. You don't give up 3 third-round picks unless you plan on putting that guy on the field. I mean, there's tons of opportunity with those 2 guys that were just taken late in the 4th round, or Pat Bryant not at all.
Yep. I mean, he was taken in the 3rd round, and I just was curious of his measurables. It's 6'2", 204, but I clicked on it on Sleeper, and the first thing that I see is Broncos coach Sean Payton drew comparisons from Pat Bryant to Michael Thomas. That's some high praise there real quick. So, he's got the
And
draft
must I
capital.
reiterate that Sean Payton knows ball.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Like, I mean, Bo Nix, like we said this over and over again with Bo Nix. Like, Riley Leonard's interesting, at least for a waiver ad. Matt can help me on the name. Monongai. Is that how you say that, Matt?
Yes.
Sorry, one
He's
more time.
interesting.
What'd you say?
Kyle, it's Monongai, right? For the Bears, is that how you pronounce
Kyle
that?
Monongai? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Monongai. He's interesting too. Just because of the opportunity.
I mean,
there's a lot of opportunity.
Yep, exactly. I just sent you guys the link, so if you guys want to jump in here, looks like we're already kind of filling up, so we appreciate if you are in here, be sure to like the stream. We will get this put up here. There we go. Yep. But yeah, I like Monongai. I mean, there's some other guys down at the bottom that we're not talking about. Restrepo, coach. Talk about Restrepo. Do you think he has a shot? I mean, he went undrafted.
Yeah. He 100% has a shot, but I mean, you can't pick a guy that went undrafted here. Like, you just can't do that. Like, I'm gonna go try to get him on waivers. Just because of his connection with Cam Ward, like I do think Cam Ward will do all he can to get that guy the ball, every chance he gets, which will no doubt help him. But yeah.
Right, hey, we want to shout out Shrimp in here. He said we're pretty chill. He had a sub. We appreciate the sub, man. Thanks for tuning in. We will get this started as soon as we get this filled. We got 3 more spots, so we'll get this put on the board here. Coach, another name, and I just want to do this just to make Tyler laugh. Riley Leonard finds his way with the Colts. Could he find his way on the field if all things go wrong with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones? Is there a chance where we see Riley Leonard, who's another good rushing upside quarterback? I think it's so funny. All 3 of those guys are just basically the same.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, coach.
Daniel Jones is there again, bro.
No, it's just so terrible. So terrible. Listen, apparently we must love our Duke quarterbacks. I know that he transferred to Notre Dame, but apparently we love Duke quarterbacks because we got Daniel Jones too. I don't know why you would want 3 mediocre quarterbacks on your roster at the same time, even if it is a late round pick. As a Colts fan, didn't really enjoy it, but if you want to take a shot on him, by all means, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, definitely
Pete,
worth a waiver ad.
No. You can trade back to Team 7 though, if you want.
Matt, text me the link, Matt.
Oh, did you not get it? I invited you on Sleeper.
I do think
I just sent it to you.
All right, we're good.
I heard it come through that time.
Yeah, coach, you better hurry. Someone's shark coach's
rush
spot.
Against the clock.
Well, they can do it. I'd rather just not pick and then make fun of your picks. That's better, right?
you do that regardless. All right, I'm going to start this. Shrimp, you are officially on the clock. Dynasty tight end premium, just so we say it again. Let's get this rolling.
SuperFlex, by the way.
SuperFlex, excuse me. Thank you, Tyler. So Shrimp's at the 101, Hoff is at the 102. No surprise, Genty goes first.
Hoff.
Like we said, Coach, I don't know if you heard it or if we talked about it all, but did you hear that we had a draft where Ashton Genty did not go 101?
I heard about that. That's interesting. If you're not going to take Genty number 1, you need to take Cam Ward number 1. I'm kidding. You got to take Ashton Genty 1, surely to goodness, right?
The thing about it is, though, is in a SuperFlex, I get it. Like, if you wanted to take Cam Ward 1, being the number 1 quarterback off the board, the 101 pick in the draft, regardless, that's your spot. In a SuperFlex draft, go for it. But it was literally SuperFlex, and then Hunter went first. So.
All right, well, we've got a different one already. We see Hampton goes at the 103. ATL Mikey, I believe who they call the resident troll, he goes with Travion Henderson at the 104. Cam Ward goes at the 105 to Pete. Metadata's on the clock now. Coach, what's your thoughts on Travion Henderson over Cam Ward, or even just be taking at the 104 in general? Is that too early for you?
Well, it's a little early, but I mean, him and Hampton, right? We've had this debate. They're very similar, really. It's just who you like better. Who you like better. I mean, does he split time with Ramondre? Like, what's going on there exactly for Henderson? But the guy that's been interesting to me is Judkins. Some people have been all over Judkins incredibly early. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like right here, I'm up. Judkins is there. Some of it comes back to, I know we can say you're drafting the best player possible, which is true. But sometimes your team, you need a certain position. If you're trying to decide between the two dudes you think are the same, there's a position you might need on your roster more so than the other.
Yeah.
Position
need is huge.
It's easy to say best player available until you get on the clock. That's when it gets hard. Coach with Colston Loveland at the 107. Wow. If you would have said this on Thursday night of the draft after the Bears took Colston Loveland, I would be shocked because that is not the way, you reacted.
First of all, I was really pleased with that pick. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I'm sure there's a clip out there somewhere. I can try and find it. Not the case, but
I hope there's
not. So if everyone's in here, be sure to like the stream. Let us know your thoughts on the picks. We've got some people in here commenting. Zach says Ram will play until he fumbles. We'll see. I think he's going to have at least a role in the interim. I believe Ward is being unable. Okay. Judd is a smash at the 107. Apparently not for Coach. He goes with Colson. Wow. Judkins even falls here. Harvey goes at the 108.
Whoa.
Yep. Steve with Harvey at the 108.
Woo! He must love him some RJ Harvey. I thought that was Pete making the pick for a second.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Coach, I'm going to let you take this comment. I think you're probably the most qualified. He's got the U flag in the background. He's been standing on his soapbox about this guy all year long. So go ahead, Coach.
I totally agree with you, King. There, the dude can play. He's elite when it comes to reading the RPO. He's so calm, so collected. Like, he's a leader. Like, everything about him is impressive. He's won everywhere he goes. 0-star recruit. Threw 12 passes as a senior in high school. 12 passes a game, as a senior in high school. Goes to Incarnate Word with no offers and just balls out at every level all the way through. He's been through it all. He's tough. He's gonna stand in there with the bullets flying. I love him. I really do.
Yeah.
And I made a point the other day. You got to remember, Cam Ward did all of this, and his two top receivers didn't even get drafted.
That is a good point.
Both of them were undrafted free agents.
He's being underappreciated. Tyler, you're on the clock. Where are you heading? And then we'll come back and hit some of these picks and some of these other things we got in the chat.
Yeah. Listen, as much as I love Emeka Egbuka and I would love to pick him here, this is a tight end premium league, and the tight end one on my board is still on the draft board, and I will take him here at the 111. So
I can't even get Tyler Warren in mocks. I don't have a single share. I'm in all these drafts, and I can't get him despite trying. Here I am about to get my first share that's not even real, and I don't even get it. Very frustrating for me. At the 112, I'm going to go with Egbuka. I do think it's a longer term play. Pete has a great post out there where he talks about why we shouldn't necessarily panic about the landing spot. It's going to be fine long term. I'm totally with Pete. I like Emeka Egbuka, one of the safest players in this class. But let's come back and hit some of these comments, guys. So Andrew says Harvey over Judkins is surprising. I think all three of us are surprised too. Steve is the guy who made the pick. He says his draft thoughts will change as we move through the process. I will say I've seen Harvey go at this spot. So it's not that crazy. I mean, people are doing it. If you got conviction about the guy, then who are we to say?
Yeah, I mean, there comes a point where he's not going to make it back to you again. So if you like him, you got to get him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach Pete says it's a good thing that Ward has good NFL wide receivers then, right? Treylon Burks, Calvin Ridley, Alec Manor, Chidike, they're about to feast, man.
Tyler Lockett.
They did do a good job of trying to get him some help. in the draft. I mean, they did go get him 2 receivers and a tight end. Now, obviously, it's 4th round, but still, I mean, they have attempted to get him a little bit of help. All they could do.
Yep. Tyler Lockett, like Andrew says. Yep. Tyler Lockett. Let's see. The start of the second round here, we've got Luther Burden goes at the 201, Trey Harris at the 202, Matthew Golden at the 203, Cam Scottaboo at the 204. I will say that these first 4 picks of the second round tend to be the actual way it unfolds in some order. That's been pretty consistent with what I've seen. Pick your player, pick your poison, doesn't really matter. It is kind of the way it unfolds. It's interesting, though, that Trey Harris, I have seen consistently taken over Matthew Golden. Tyler, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I have him in a but it's kind of hard to argue the draft cap. If Golden's off the board, I have no problem taking Harris, but in an era where kind of draft capital may dictate a little bit here, I'd probably still take Golden over Harris just to be on the safe side.
I just cannot understand that. Like, to me, I do not understand how Golden isn't gone before Harris. Draft capital, Green Bay is starving for a number 1 wide receiver. I think there's tons of chance there for Golden to really shine. And I've listened to Matt talk about him for 2 months straight. There's probably that.
Yeah. Hey, Hoff, don't take too much in this, because while I have talked about Matthew Golden nonstop, the person I probably talked about the second most is Trey Harris. So
Same.
I like both those players. Either way, I think it's great. I actually convinced Coach to take Trey Harris like an hour ago. So don't let him fool you.
But not over Matt Golden.
True. That's fair.
Let's talk about Jack Besh for a minute. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that and the opportunity there.
Yeah, I think he steps into an immediate role, right? I mean, there's not really a lot of pass catchers there outside of obviously Brock Bowers is there. So I think he's got an immediate opportunity. I like the pick. They had high investment in him. Tyler, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean the high investment is nice. And he's really only competing with Jacoby, like you said. The issue is Brock Bowers is going to be the number 1 target on that offense until NFL defenses figure out how to stop him. So I think it will be interesting to see kind of how he plays into that role. We did, I think, have a comment last night in the live where somebody said something about Amari Cooper coming back to the Raiders. Not that I think that would keep him off the field, but just adding more depth to the receiver room could be interesting too.
Coach calls him a warrior all the time, and I think that's going to get him on the field. But go ahead, Tyler. We'll come back to Andrew's comment once I finish with my pick. So go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. So I'm on the clock here. Ooh, I got to pick quick. Let's see. I'll take a page out of Coach's book. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of it, but as a real quick glance here, I've already got a tight end on my team, so I'll take Jaden Blue and his opportunity with the Cowboys.
Here at the 212 tight end premium, I'm going to go with another guy from the U. I'm going with Elijah Arroyo. I think he's going to be able to easily replace what's his face, Noah Fant, who's done next to nothing. So I like this. I'm going to go with Elijah Arroyo. Steps in, can be a safety blanket for Sam Darnold. I know Coach likes him a lot.
Traded a million times.
True. Let's address Andrew's question, guys. He says, in a full tight end premium league, I have the 106 and the 107 with no tight ends. My roster, I am strongly considering taking a tight end with both picks. I would for sure take one tight end. I don't know if I would take two. It depends on how your league functions. If it's a league that's very active and would negotiate with you to try and maybe add them and maybe you tear down with one of those guys later on, then I think it's a little bit better. If it's a full point, that's pretty good. Depends on my full roster, though. I mean, if you're saying your roster is pretty good and you're a competing team, then I don't necessarily hate it. What's your guys' thoughts on going tight end back-to-back at the 106 and 107?
Yeah,
you're trying to hedge your bets there, right? Like if you take two of them, one of them's going to hit. I don't see the value in that. I think you take the guy you like and then go get another surefire guy or a guy you feel really good about. Now, if you if you don't feel good about it, then I get it. I understand, because you could always flex that other tight end if they both end up being really good players. But there's a lot of risk in that. If there's a running back or a wide receiver, you do in general. Like for me, I'm taking one tight end and then taking a wide receiver with the other pick probably.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, before you go, Tyler, is I would say if you take a tight end at the 106, then that means a guy probably like Henderson fell to the 107, and I'd have a hard time letting him go to the 108, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bad part about it is it's all team dependent, right? Like if you've got a pretty solid team, especially in this year where like maybe you've got a good stable of running backs, maybe you don't need that rookie running back spot. A wide receiver may make sense. I can see why you would do it. I do think it limits your upside a little bit. He does add down here at the bottom that he can flex a tight end. And if you're in a full point premium, you're getting 2 points per reception, probably for that. So at that point, maybe it is worth flexing to, but you're also limiting your upside. Really only if one of those tight ends hit. You're kind of hurting yourself there, kind of lighting a first round pick on fire, possibly.
Yeah. All right. So I'm up. I took Alec Iomanor last time. I feel good about him. I've seen more of his tape, but I'm going to let this talk to me in Tennessee right here. I think Tyler one time told me that sometimes you let the NFL draft decide for you, let the NFL teams pick. Well, the Titans actually picked this guy ahead of Iomanor when they had the opportunity to draft Iomanor. So I'm going to take Chimere Dike. Is that how you say that, Matt? He's a good athlete. I do know that. The dude can flat out run.
Yeah, I've said before, he's kind of like a mold of a clay. You're going to have to teach him, get him into the right role, but he's super athletic. So I think it's a good pick, Coach, here in the third round. These are the flyers you're taking. I mean, we see guys like DJ Giddens going, Alec Iomanor, Gordon again. I got to give you your shout out, Zach. You are doing everything you can to improve that ADP. That's a true fan. The Pokes are proud of you. So good job, my friend.
And Pete's proud of him too. Let's not kid ourselves.
Pete too, but we don't care about Pete.
I've thrown up in my mouth multiple times listening to him talk about Ollie Gordon like he's good.
Like Hoff says, can we get some more likes, fellas? We appreciate everyone that's tuning in, watching right now. If you've got a question, be sure to throw it in the comments. We will come back and answer it as we just go through these mock drafts. I do want to talk about Quinn Ewers. We had a comment earlier about, is there something to Quinn Ewers in Miami? Coach, you are a guy who's been trying to move off a Tua deal all day. What's your thoughts on Quinn Ewers? Is there anything there?
I cannot move Tua for anything. No, when Tua plays, Tua's a pretty good quarterback. Like, let's start there. Mike McDaniels really likes Tua. Is there a little bit to Quinn Ewers? Yeah, maybe. But I do think he will already be a more capable backup for Tua when Tua inevitably misses 5 to 16 games this season. So there's a little bit of opportunity because, I'm serious. Tua will miss a few games probably. So there's opportunity there, but Tua is going to be the guy until he does miss.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck goes at the 311. So Tyler sniped me. That was my pick. So I had to sit here and look for someone. I go with Devin Neal. I like the pick, Tyler. I mean, getting a starting quarterback, especially in the SuperFlex, and I say starter because I do believe he will be the starter. That's a great pick at the 311.
Yeah, apparently Pete brought it up earlier. Tyler picks Tyler. Apparently this is the Tyler team. So now I've got two Tylers on the team. I felt like you couldn't really pass him up. You've had Ewers and Milroe both go off the board ahead of him, and they're in backup roles. And, Shuck really has a chance to be the starter there. So I felt like it was kind of a no-brainer pick. He was quite a ways down the board, so that's probably why he was still there. But sounds like me and Matt might have been on the same page.
Oh, I love the fact that Hoff just called Coach out. He's been trying to move off Tua for the last month. Let's be real. Hoff, you are not
longer
wrong.
than that. If anybody has any ideas on what, I don't know how either. I can't do it. I don't know how.
I told Coach before he traded for Tua again because he's had him in this league prior. I told him, I'm not going to listen to you complain about him. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. And here we are. And it's all he's been complaining about all day. What can I move Tua for? How can I move Tua? It's not working so far, man. So it's a tough day to be coach.
Oh, my God.
Well, we've got Dylan Sampson at the 401, Shador Sanders at the 402 to Hoff. I think now is probably the time to take Shador if you want to take him in the 4th round. I'm not going to fault you too much. Coach is definitely going to mention, should we draft the guy who got drafted higher? So I will let him make that point. Gadsden goes at the 403, followed by Tez Johnson, who finds his way in Tampa Bay. Not a lot talked about Tez at all. I can't remember if he was undrafted or he went in the 7th round. I know it was one or the other, but ultimately found his way there.
I'm pretty sure he was drafted in the 7th round there. I watched his tape. I know he could separate. They had the videos of him at the Senior Bowl where, he was shaking defenders out of their shoes left and right. I watched his tape. He's 5'9", 154 pounds. I think he's one of the smallest players to ever come through the combine. So I'll ride that one out. I'll set him out for the season.
Well, we're losing Tyler's voice. I don't know what's going on there. But, Coach, you're on the clock. What's your thoughts?
Well, you mentioned Shador a minute ago. Like, I'm not going to take Gabriel here. But, I mean, is there not something to the fact that the guy drafted multiple rounds ahead of him is not being taken at all? You got to think there's a little something there, right? I mean, maybe not. Maybe not. I'm not a big Gabriel fan. Like, I'm not. We've talked about this a lot. But at the same time, there's better draft capital. So I don't know. Here you go, Matt. Let's take your boy.
Taj Brooks. Great pick, Coach. Great pick. He's going to find his way on the field. Pete sniped me on Taj Brooks already once today. So I love me some Taj Brooks. Excellent situation. So they sold too many Shador jerseys. That's funny.
I see Tristan's comment in there.
Here. Do what? I'm sorry?
I see Tristan's comment in there.
Yeah, victim of Tua as well. Tristan, Coach has been trying to trade you Tua all day. So if you're interested, I think we can get a deal done there.
Yeah, at this point, I'll take a 6th-round pick.
Well, Restrepo goes at the 4-8 here. Zach's on the clock. I'm curious who he's going to draft here. The pickings get slim here in the 4th round. Isaac Tesla still on the board, like Coach mentioned before. They traded up for him, traded 3 third-round picks, and he's available in the 4th round. So that's a guy I've been drafting in the 3rd and 4th round just because I think there's something to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm curious to see who kind of falls. I mean, we're in the 4th round. It doesn't really matter who falls here. These are all dart throws anyway. But I've got my eyes on one player. We'll see if he gets there, and he does. Okay. Yeah. Coach was getting ready to say it. Pat Bryant was still on the board, and he's getting ready to not be. So that was my pick.
Good for you. I mean, yeah, we talked about it last time. There he was.
Yeah. The other name I want to mention is Savion Williams from TCU. Got drafted to the Packers, 87th overall. Consistently goes undrafted. He's another kind of project wide receiver. Definitely some hand issues. He kind of has that QJ background, but I think it's interesting. He just goes undrafted. Like, no one even takes a shot on him. Here to close out our draft, trying to think who I can speak on. We already talked about Kyle Monangai. So I don't really want to go there. I took Ja'Cory last time. See if I can find another dart throw for us to talk about.
Have you talked about Kyle Williams?
We have talked about Kyle Williams today. He did go in the 303. I'm running out of time trying to find another dart throw for us.
What about Ty Felton?
I'll just go with Tesla if he's still there. I don't think I'm going to have time to even take him, but that's fine. I get Dylan Gabriel. Not quite the best pick there. Not what I would have taken, but that's fine. But we've got some questions here in the chat, guys. So let's walk through some of those. Pete asks us, Najee Pickens in the 203 or Chase Brown in the SuperFlex. I think I'm going to take the package there. I think a lot of people would say Chase Brown has been saved by this draft with no capital, but I think Pickens is going to be Pickens. He'll probably be a mid-level wide receiver 2 or 3. The 203 I'm interested in because you can get a big name player like Trey Harris, like Matthew Golden, Cam Scadaboo. I've seen RJ Harvey there. And then Najee Harris is going to be someone that's capable, in my opinion. Tyler, what's your thoughts on this deal?
Yeah, I agree there. I would take the package pretty easily. I have several shares of Chase Brown, but I would still take that package pretty much all day for that.
Coach, what about you?
I like the package for me. Of course, I like Chase Brown more than the other two guys, especially more than Matt. But at the same time, I like the package. I think I can get another comparable running back at 203 also to even things out even more.
Yeah, I think so. Steve, I'm curious if you were offered that or you were offering it. So let us know if you are. Pat Bryan is the new Devon Vele. Could be. I mean, Pat Bryan is a capable wide receiver. I don't think he necessarily has a big time ceiling, but the draft capital is there. And if you're drafting someone like that at the 411, then I don't think we should necessarily fault you at all. I mean, that's a pretty good pick, don't you think, Coach?
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. I do think. Well, I don't know about. Do you see the Devon Vele thing? Like Pete would lose his mind over that because Vele, I think, is a pretty good player. Like I think he could be. We haven't done this yet, but he could be a buy possibly. That's something to look into ourselves. Like I would be buying Vele. I think he's a good young receiver.
And he's cheap too. He's really cheap.
And Sutton's getting older by the day.
Yeah.
Situation. Didn't he just resign or?
Mm-hmm.
Did who resign? I'm sorry.
Sutton.
He might have, but golly, I mean, how old is Sutton? He's got to be up there, right?
He's 29.
Pete, the insider, says Denver's very high on Vele. I mean, he's got size, he's got the ability, so he played okay last year. I mean, you watched the Broncos probably more than all of us, Pete. What are your thoughts on Vele? Sutton's on the expiring deal, yeah. All right, Coach, big time question from Steve here. Any rookies besides Ollie Gordon that we do not like? I can throw the board back up if we need to, but go ahead, Coach. I'll let you start first, and you can walk through some rookies you're not necessarily on.
Well, for starters, I was never high on Shedeur Sanders for one. It's changed a lot now with where he's at on boards. Like you take him in third or fourth round, and whatever. But I was never a huge fan of his in the first place. Jalen Milroe, like I don't like Jalen Milroe personally as a player. Like I don't think he's accurate enough to be successful as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's concerning. I have been a big supporter of Luther Burden. Matt is not. Some of these other guys are not as big supporters of Luther Burden as I am. But as far as I'm not a Fanning guy. Matt's a big Fanning guy. I personally am not a big Fanning guy. I do not think he blocks well enough to consistently stay on the field. And I think that showed up at times throughout the season. His blocking grade was really, really terrible. That's concerning for me. And Ted McMillan, I don't think any of us actually are extremely high on Ted McMillan. We're really high on his landing spot. Well, Tyler's a big Ted man. I'm sorry. Me and Matt are not big Ted fans.
Tyler's higher than us.
Sorry. Yeah, Tyler's a bigger fan of Ted than me and Matt are. But as a whole, I went into the draft as a big fan of Kyle McCord also, but his landing spot is just really, really bad. So I don't love that. Obviously, just a backup unless Hurts gets hurt or something. But
yeah, I think for me, Blue is a name that I think is just being drafted a little too high at the 211 for me. I've seen a lot of drafts where he goes that high. I think we're chasing the Dallas running back, and we've seen this story before. They brought in Javonte Williams. I think there's a world where Javonte's the guy on a cheap contract. I'm not necessarily sold that he's going to be anything. He was okay at Texas, but just not anything necessarily special. He's got some speed at the combine. It didn't show up. His pro day, he ran an alleged like 4.24, but the pro day speeds you just can't trust, man, to be honest. So that's someone I'm not taking at his current value. I would take him in the late third, but in the second, I'm avoiding that pick. This is another hot one. A lot of people really like Jalen Royals, but he's someone that I'm kind of fading too, to be honest. Real quick to hit on coaches, guys, because we've got some comments on him, then we'll hear Tyler's rookies that he's fading. Is he doesn't want to sound like that guy, but Christian says they said the same thing about Lamar, coach, that you're saying about Milroe.
No. No. Lamar and Milroe are not the same. Lamar had a quarterback rating of 146 at Louisville. Like, Lamar could throw the ball
good,
far.
coach?
Huh?
Far.
Is
that good?
He could throw the ball. Yeah, 148 the year before in 2016. 30 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Like, Lamar and Milroe are not the same. Like, they never were the same. Like, just because they're both really fast doesn't mean they throw the ball the same. Lamar's a better quarterback than Jalen Milroe, even in college even.
Yeah. And Louisville's quarterback system is actually pretty solid. I mean, again, Tyler Shuck is coming from there. They know what they're doing there in developing quarterbacks. So I'm with Coach. I think Lamar was a more developed passer. Yeah, people were wanting to put him at wide receiver or whatever joker position you want to talk about, but that's because he had insane speed. So does Milroe, but Milroe's struggle at the intermediate and short passing game is evident on tape. It was evident at the Senior Bowl. It was evident at the Combine. You cannot get past it. It was really bad.
Yeah. It showed up bad in the Senior Bowl. That was the problem, right? Like, And I will say this too. Now, Lamar also is a guy who's continued to really work and continued to get better and better and better throwing the football. So, I mean, there's that too at the same time. I mean, so you can't take that from him.
Yeah.
That's, there's a lot of Lamar, Josh Allen. Those guys are rare commodities there when it comes to their improvement once they got into the league. Like, that just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Tyler, what about you? Any rookies you want to talk about, or you want to jump in this Milroe conversation?
Yeah, I mean, Milroe can throw a deep ball. He, like we said earlier, he struggles with those intermediate routes. That's where we've seen that all year. Lamar, like you said, is a more refined passer. I mean, he's gotten better as the years have gone on. He's been in the league. He's won an MVP. And even last year, they were talking about him in the MVP conversation again with Josh Allen. And it came down to who won the game between the two. I do think, one thing to note too is that they said it about Lamar, but it was also Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator. And he was known for he liked to run the ball. He would run with Lamar a lot. And it kind of fed into the stereotype that that's all he could do. They said he was limited, and that's why they did it. And then they've changed offensive coordinators, and now you see what he's actually able to do throwing the ball. So something to keep in mind. Milroe, can he develop? Sure. He can. He's a backup for now, so we'll kind of see how that goes. He's an athlete, though. It could be interesting late in drafts. I'm not saying I wouldn't draft him.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Something else to say about Milroe and Lamar, for instance, is Lamar was in a system in college where they threw the ball a lot too. A lot more than Milroe. Now, Milroe had, I guess you could say, more of a running game, but at the same time, I think Lamar threw the ball like 440 times. Don't quote me on that, but something like that. 440 times when you're in college, something crazy like that. 430, 440, something like that. Milroe was never even close to that. So Lamar did come into the NFL with far more experience throwing the ball as well.
I will go because we lost Tyler. Yeah, I'm with you, Coach. I mean, Christian does that. He's not saying that they're necessarily the same, but he does think that Milroe could improve like Lamar has. I will say this about Lamar's season last year. I don't think the 40 touchdowns is necessarily something that can be replicated again this year. I think that's kind of more likely to be the outlier because, again, that was an insane season he had. And repeating that would be difficult. I mean, he could do it, but I think it's unlikely. Milroe developing as a passer, yeah. I mean, we're saying the same thing about Anthony Richardson. We said the same thing about Trey Lance. We said the same thing about Zach Wilson. A lot of these guys are getting drafted, and I don't think they're necessarily ready to be drafted, Coach. What's your thoughts about the quarterback development that we're seeing right now in the NFL? I'd be curious for you to talk about it. I know we've talked a lot about Shador's footwork and things like that, but what do you see as a coach, as someone who kind of studies the game in a different way than a lot of people?
Well, I think the NFL right now is really enamored with quarterbacks that can run the football. There's a lot of and NFL coaches, like every coach, right? They think they can fix these guys, and lots of times you just can't. Like sometimes they are what they are. You don't want to admit that as a coach because you think you're so great that you can turn everybody around, and you actually can't. There are plenty of guys you can help, but you can't help everybody. It just doesn't work like that. Milroe, to me, I will say this about Milroe, is if you're going to draft Milroe and you plan on ever playing Milroe, then you have to let him be himself. I've said this so many times when it comes to Fields, when it comes to Anthony Richardson. If you're going to play them and you know their shortcomings, then you got to let them do what they're best at and let them run the football. Like you're going to have to call 10 to 15 design runs for that guy every game. And you're going to have to live with the fact that he might, get hurt. You may miss him 5 games a year or more. Like that's part of it. But if it works, it works. Josh Allen is an example of that. Cam Newton was an example of that. Like Cam Newton was a phenomenal runner. He was a far better runner than he was passer, but he was such a dynamic runner that when he threw the ball, people were more and more open because he was such a threat to carry the football. So Milroe has to kind of be that. Like you got to say, we're going to run him. Like we just are. And I really feel like Cam Newton is an example of the older he got and his legs didn't move the same way, he didn't throw the ball quite as good because the windows got smaller. And I think, they can capitalize on Milroe's athleticism. There's no doubt he's got that. And if you say, well, we're going to let him run the ball, then there's opportunity there in the play action game and the RPO game and stuff you can do to help him be somewhat successful. But it's the third and longs where it's going to be a problem. 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. Joe Burrow picks those up. Lamar Jackson can pick those up. Jalen Hurts can pick those up. The question is, can Milroe, these guys ever get that done? Anthony Richardson, I don't know.
Well, Pete throws in here a good question, guys, and I think this would be a good topic for us to discuss. Travis Hunter is wide receiver 13 on Keep Trade Cut. He doesn't know how to feel about that. I know how I feel about that. Personally, I think Travis Hunter is stepping into a role where we should be valuing him probably as a fringe top 10 dynasty wide receiver. I think he has that upside. I think he has that ability to be really dang good. I know Coach and I have talked about this. Like if he hits his ceiling, how high is it? And I think it's pretty dang high. So for me, Travis Hunter is wide receiver 13. That's too low. I would rather have Travis Hunter over Marvin Harrison, over JSN, over – I'm just trying to think of names. Drake London is probably the line for me, somewhere around there. I mean, I think I'd rather have Travis Hunter over Ladd.
Oh, where do you put Brian Thomas?
I would put Brian Thomas up ahead of him.
So two receivers, 2 top 13 receivers?
2 top 13 receivers on the same team.
Is Trevor Lawrence good enough to sustain 2 top 13 receivers? I don't see it.
Why is he not? Legitimate question. Why is he not?
He's just going to have to play better in order to be able to do that. I'm just not sure. I mean, let's talk about like who does that historically, right? Just off the top of our head, we know Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm. Burrow, Hurts. Mahomes has supported multiple top 10 assets. And real quick, just because I pulled it up, in 2022, Trevor Lawrence's best year, he finished as quarterback 8. He had 4,113 yards and 25 touchdowns. His pass catchers in 2022 were nowhere close to as good as Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. So I think, there's absolutely a world.
Like I think Hoff's right. Like it's not that far off. Like, is it possible? Yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I'm not going and betting a whole lot of money on that.
Yeah, I mean, last year he sustained just BTJ. He
Yeah,
had Ridley in the
there's no
past,
Ridley.
not this past season. But Thomas was good, but he also didn't play a lot. I mean, he only had, I think it was 10 games played, I believe. Was it 8 or 10, something like that? I just pulled it down. Let me pull it back up. Tyler, you go ahead if you
So
want
what
to
was
talk.
tell me, what's your thoughts then, Matt, on him last year? What was T-Law's issue last year?
Well, one, it was the injuries. I mean, it wasn't just one injury; it was multiple injuries. So I think the offensive line was not good. The weapons weren't good. The defense was a complete disaster. I mean, they couldn't stop a bloody nose. He got his ankle hurt, the knee hurt, he got the concussion. Like it just kept rolling, and then finally they shut him down. So I think he's gonna get better. I think he's proven that he can be a fantasy reliable quarterback. Am I saying that he's quarterback one? No, I want to say that out loud. Is there a world where he's just an average quarterback that finishes a late QB1 in fantasy football? Yes, and that's okay. He does not have to be a top 5 fantasy football
That
quarterback.
reality is already here. That reality is already here. We're already there. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Like he's a late.
I mean, he's quarterback 8 in 2022. He's quarterback 13 in 2023. So I think he can provide fantasy outlook for you. But, let's just play the name. JSN or Travis Hunter? Coach, you go first.
Oh, man. That's JSN. I like JSN.
Tyler?
Especially now with DK gone. This is
I'm
Tyler's guy,
on,
too. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm on JSN here. So
give me Travis Hunter. Give me Travis
This
Hunter.
year?
I'm going to chase the
We're talking long term. We're talking long term.
Yeah. I mean, Dynasty is what we're talking about. I mean, if you want to go this year, then maybe. I guess it's closer.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson or Travis Hunter, Coach?
Travis Hunter, probably. Long term. Yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah, it hurts me to say that. I think Hoff makes a good point there. Hoff makes a good point. And I know this is actually what Matt's a big Liam Cohen believer. Even, and obviously they did really good things in Tampa Bay the last couple years. So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I think
because if you're a big Liam Cohen believer, then you need to start being a big Brenton Strange believer while you're at it.
Ooh,
how about that, Hoff?
I know Hoff's gonna want to hear that.
Hoff? Didn't they draft a tight end? Oh, wait.
They drafted a tight end, I think, on day 3 in round 7. I'll vet that, Tyler, if you want to give your thoughts on Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I like Travis Hunter a lot. I mean, not saying that I wouldn't take him, over some of these guys. I would take him over Wilson. I do like JSN a lot. I was high on JSN when he came out, and I believed in the breakout, second year or so. I'd probably take JSN over him. This is probably going to be controversial. I know Matt's already kind of given his take. I'd take him over Drake London. Not that I don't think Drake London's good, but it's just my belief. I'd rather have Travis Hunter there. So
we're gonna come back to Drake London when we're done. So just hold it, Coach. We're gonna come back. But keep
I know. Sorry, it's just me. I like Travis Hunter.
Right now, you can't. You got to quit glitching. You can't go out. You can't go against Drake London if you're glitching everywhere over there.
Don't blame me. It's my internet.
Well, here's a hot take. I have Tet over him. Both are 14 through 16 in Pete's opinion. I can't get behind that. I just can't. Like I struggle to see that. I mean, I do think Tet's in a great situation where he steps in as the immediate one. And I know Coach agrees with me. I think both of us are kind of on the same page. Tyler's much higher on Tet, so he can give his stance. But I think Tet's going to be a good player, not a great player. I don't see him being an alpha, a 1 for a team. I think he can be a 1B. But, is he that high in dynasty rankings? That's probably pretty close. 14 to 16 range, wouldn't you guys say? I mean, that's pretty close. I think 14 is probably a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree there. I like Ted a lot. I have him and Travis Hunter a lot closer than I know you two guys do. I mean, he's he's this big, tall, lanky guy that has sticky hands that'll catch everything you throw at him. So I think that kind of lends itself more to like a T. Higgins career path. And so that's where I'm at. I'm like, if you give me a young T. Higgins in an offense that has no competition, really, I'll take that all day. So, that's kind of where I stand on Ted. I don't hate the 14-15 range there. And then I also don't hate Hunter being there either. I think as they're rookies, that's a good starting spot. Let's not take the Marvin Harrison approach where we just catapult him into like the top 5, kind of immediately, and then him have to fall back down to earth. So I like aiming low, shooting higher than that.
Well, let's transition, guys, to another wide receiver room that Andrew brings up. Let's talk about the Chargers. We've got Ladd McConkey, who had a fantastic last year. He gets the addition of Trey Harris, so there's more target competition in that room. I'm a big Trey Harris fan. I know Tyler is a big Trey Harris fan. I think I've bullied Coach into becoming a Trey Harris fan. That's just what happens when you get stuck with me for a few months. I'll talk your ear off. I think that both are going to be fine. Herbert needed another option. Yes, this team's going to run the ball. Harbaugh wants to play defense and move the chains, but I think the addition of Trey Harris is going to help Ladd McConkey. They both can do different things. Trey Harris can stretch the field, make big plays, be the big X on the outside. Ladd can move around, be shifty, go in motion, be in the slot. So there's a lot to like about this team pairing up these two wide receivers, and I think both are going to be just fine for fantasy. I am of the opinion that I think Trey Harris has a really, really high ceiling. I think he's got the ability to be a big-time route runner, make big-time plays going across the middle, digs, posts, street, like whatever you want to do. I think he's going to have the ability to stretch the field and make big-time plays attached to Justin Herbert. But Tyler, what's your thoughts on Trey Harris teaming up with Ladd McConkey? Are you scared at all? What do you think?
No, I'm not scared, and let me give you an example as to why. From the exact same team, did we like the offense that had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great pairing. I think Trey Harris is better than Mike Williams. Going to throw that out there.
That's my point. I think he's better than Mike Williams. I think Trey Harris is an upgrade there. I think Ladd could at least be Keenan Allen. So we've already seen this offense work before, and now you've got 2 younger versions of those guys. So for me, I'm not scared at all. I actually think, like you said, it helps open up, kind of the middle of the field a little bit more for Ladd. Sure, they may want to run the ball, but that's okay. I mean, Justin Herbert can finally unleash him now that he has 2 competent pass catchers. Make it 3 if you want to include Gadsden.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I really like this Charger team. Like, I really do. Harbaugh's done a heck of a job. We already know he's a fantastic coach, but they did good things in the draft with Hampton and Harris and Gadsden. And, like, I just really, really like this football team. We already know they're elite on defense. They can run the football. Like, they really got a shot. Like, you can't help but love the makeup of this team.
And we can't go much further without talking about 2 staples, one at left tackle, one at right tackle. I mean, we've got all on the left, like Slater out there. I just love this offensive line. They hit you in the mouth. They move earth. Like, I'm a big fan of this Chargers team.
Your hat fits this team, right? Your hat
fits this team. Like, I think it's a great fit. I mean, Hampton stepping in with Najee, that's a great duo. I mean, we've talked about the fantasy relevance of Hampton in year 1, temper expectations, but year 2, I think he's going to be just fine. So I like the Chargers offense, man.
Hey, they're going to be running the RPO, run power often. That's what's going to be happening. Like, it's going to smash mouth. Let's go.
Pete's heading out. He says Todd Gurley is 30 years old tonight. That's actually crazy. That's really wild to think about, that his run was so dominant but so short. Sometimes that happens for some people.
Reidsville High. He's a North Carolina high school product. Yeah, he was fantastic.
That's what North Carolina does. Produces talent.
He burned too bright.
All right, hey, I've got a question here. Because I am in our home league dynasty here. I'm actually on the clock here. I want to hear you guys' pick right here. Here are your 2 choices: Jaden Higgins or Tootin. And sell me on one over the other.
Just to give context to everybody, Coach is he's a competing team. I think he finished third last year, maybe fourth. I don't remember. He drafted Cam Ward with the third pick. He went and got his guy. He needed a quarterback. He takes Luther Burden at the 203. And he takes Trey Harris at the 205. So we're between Higgins and Tootin, you said, correct?
Yeah.
I think right here you go with Bashal Tootin. That's the pick I'm going to go with. I think he's got upside. Drafted in the fourth round at the beginning of the draft on day 3. Jacksonville went and got a guy that they believe in. He was fantastic at Virginia Tech. Out of the backfield, can run between the tackles. Etienne and Bigsby both have been inconsistent over their career. Christian agrees with me, so that's now 2 people on Team Tootin. We are Tootin over here. So I think that's the pick for you, Coach. It adds a running back to your room, which I do believe you need. Higgins is someone who is interesting, but I think more often than not, playing Higgins this year is just going to lead to headaches for you. Tyler, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be honest. If you hadn't already taken Burden and Harris, I'd probably take Higgins. But taking those 2 guys and, needing the running back, I'd probably lean Tootin just on the off chance that he gets there and replaces Etienne and Tank. He does have a shot at it. Like we said, I believe in Higgins. I know Pete did as well. He's still here, even though he said goodnight. So I think he's going to be the 2 behind Nico. So I'd probably take Tootin though here just for your team individually.
Yeah. Coach, after hearing us kind of talk and go through it, I know we talked off stream. Where are you leaning on this pick?
I'm leaning Tootin, but I'm considering a trade back for the right opportunity if I can get one. Like, I just want as many picks as I can get. Like, I just do. Especially when it comes to these running backs. Like, it seems like every year, if something hits in the third round, it's a running back. I mean, we can go with Pacheco. We can go with Brian Robinson. We can go with Bucky Irving. Right? It seems like there's a third round back every year that finds their way into being really fantasy relevant. I don't know who that could be,
agree.
but I would love as many opportunities at those guys as possible.
Yeah, you also got Puka in the third round too 1 year. Let's not forget that. So your wide receivers can hit.
Well, yeah, I do want to add, Coach, you bring up a good point. I just pulled up same league. I pulled up our draft from last year. Here are running backs that went in the third round. Tajay Spears, definitely increased in value. Chase Brown, definitely increased in value. Zach Evans, nothing. Roshan Johnson, value this year. There's possibility there.
It's at least worth a third.
Nothing. Yeah, more than a third. Devon Vele, nothing really there. Eric Gray, nothing really there. I'm sorry, this was 2 years ago, not last year. Excuse me. Not Devon Vele, Deshaun Vaughn.
Yeah.
Or Deuce Vaughn, excuse me. Let's pull up another draft. Let me go find another one.
Like, for whatever reason, there's a third round back every year. You're like, oh, he hits. Now, what people need to understand is, like, half of these guys in the second round are going to be useless too. Like, we can go on and on about Baker and Polk and Burton, and just last year that people were drafting in the second round that up to now have been completely useless.
Yep. Which is interesting for the Patriots guys because they had all the opportunity in the world. The offense just sucked.
Well, Thornton, Tyler Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton.
Tyquan, yeah. Sorry, yes.
So last year in our draft in this same league, Bucky Irving went at the 304. Vidal went at the 307. Estime went at the 311. And then Jalen Wright went at the 312.
Estime has value.
Yeah.
What running backs went in the second round, Matt, last year?
Jonathan Brooks went at the 201. Trey Benson went at the 203. Blake Corum went at the 209, and then Marshawn Lloyd went at the 211. I'm happy to report that I didn't draft any of those landmines. So, yay me.
I am happy to report the third rounders are just as valuable. I've been saying this over and over and over for 3 years.
So,
I mean, screaming it 3 years.
Coach, let's pause there to talk about these third round picks. The 301 in this draft specifically, just because I'm staring at it, was Spencer Rattler. Yes, he's not that good and he has not developed into anything, but there was a point in time where you could trade him for a second round pick. He was absolutely.
He could still be the starter.
Mm-hmm. I want to shout out New Era here, who comes in with a great comment. I took Bucky second round in all 3 of my Dynasty leagues last year. Got to take your guy when you can. Respect the game, man. I was screaming Bucky Irving everywhere I can. I did not get shares in every single league. I don't know if either one of these guys sniped me on any shares, but absolutely worked out for you, worked out for me. So love that for you.
Yep.
I definitely sniped 1 share off of you, and I'm so glad I did.
It is terrifying. Like I loved Bucky so much. I've tried to trade for him in every league. I don't have him all off season. Unsuccessful. His value is insane, and I think I'm higher than most people on him. But let's talk about Drake London before we close out. We're at the hour 25-minute mark, so if you got any last-minute questions or comments, throw them in there. I know Pete's going to make fun of us for hitting them all because we will. But Tyler, you have been notoriously down on Drake London. I think both Coach and I would say he's a top 10 Dynasty wide receiver. So I just want to find the list. I want to see where you are. So I'm going to name names, and you tell me when it's time to say Drake London. Malik Neighbors, obviously no. Jamar Chase, no. Justin Jefferson, no. Puka Nacua,
no.
CD,
no.
Amon-Ra,
nope.
Brian Thomas,
nope.
Nico Collins,
yes,
no.
Travis Hunter,
no. I already said that.
Ladd McConkey.
That's close. I'd probably lean Ladd, but it's a toss up there. So that's probably about where he's at.
Well, is it JSN?
Okay. Well, I see. That's the thing is I take JSN too. So you can keep
Marvin
going.
Harrison.
Let's see. Okay, I'll take him there. That's fine. I like Marv, but value wise,
okay. So he's 13 for you. We didn't name guys like Tet, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, T. Higgins. And I think kind of there we all agree. So that's interesting. You're 3 or 4 spots below Coach and I.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the guy stinks. I'm not saying he's a bad wide receiver, nothing like that. I just think there's a lot of weapons in Atlanta. I mean, hell, you saw Darnell Mooney, do well whenever other people were out. You had like Ray McLeod and all these other people. So I don't necessarily think it's just Drake London that's benefiting. Now, I will say that when Michael Penix played last year, like the last game that he was in, he had like 18 targets. So that is very interesting. But we still need to see what Penix, can do. I believe in Penix. I do, which is kind of ironic, the fact that I'm out on Drake London, I guess, according to you guys. But it's not that I don't like the guy. It's just I prefer some guys over him that, you guys may not. So, it is what it is. Bijan is obviously the focal point of that offense. So I'll let Bijan get all the touches, and I'll be happy with having him.
Coach, any response?
Well, 13 times last year he got 7 or more targets. I do think without a doubt that he has serious rapport with Michael Penix. I, however, tend to think Drake London's status is even higher because the Falcons really do not have other weapons besides Bijan. It's Bijan and London, and that's pretty
Darnell
much it.
Mooney. Put some
exactly.
Respect on name.
Let's don't act like Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod are like high level weapons, like Tyler just explained them as. Like
no. I did not say that. I did not say they were high level weapons. I'm saying they were useful in fantasy last year, and if they can succeed, then obviously Drake London's going to succeed. It's not just because he is successful. That's my point.
He was wide receiver 5 last year.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad.
Targets.
I'm happy for him. It's not that I hate the guy.
Where do you rank in targets?
Oh, that I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Coach does. He
let
wouldn't
me-
have asked that question if he
I
didn't.
don't. No, I don't. I do not. I have no idea.
I'll look it up real quick while you guys answer this question. Coach, you go first.
Oh man, you're my guys this year. Okay, so I've got a few of these
Buckle up.
guys now. I started with Luther Burden. Like I've been a huge Luther Burden guy over the course of the last month. Then he ends up in Chicago, so that landing spot's kind of dicey. It scares me a little bit. So Elijah Arroyo, like that's my first guy. Like I really, really like Elijah Arroyo. I'm not really in position in one of my drafts I'm in right now to get him. It's burning me up. I do think he has the opportunity to end up being tight end, a top 5 to 10 fantasy tight end somewhere in there. Like I think he has that potential. Assuming he can stay healthy, for one. But how many we going here, man? I'm just gonna go with Arroyo, and I'll pass the mic to one of you guys for your guy.
Tyler, you want to name anybody?
Yeah, my guy is Trey Harris. I think I know Matt's because he's fell some. It's not Trey Harris, but I've been excited for Trey Harris since I watched this film. Over the off season, whenever the college season ended. I thought he was going to come in and be a producer right away. Like Matt said earlier, his ceiling is very high, especially in the offense he's in. Any draft that I can leave with Trey Harris as my pick in the second round, I'm thrilled with.
Yeah, I love Trey Harris. I'm with you guys. I'll take him in the second, 205 all day long, 204, don't care. Matthew Golden is another guy I love who's consistently falling to the second round, and I'm drafting him basically every chance I get. I think he's got a really high ceiling. Like Coach said earlier, first round capital, steps into a role where they need that X, they need that big playmaker, and I think he fills that need and he can make that connection with Jordan Love. These guys have all been given a chance, whether it was Wicks, Reeds, Watson, or Dobbs. Last season, we spent all year talking about who's really the one of this group. The answer is Matthew Golden. He's better than all of them. He's more athletic. He's got the speed. The production at Texas, was it there? No. But I do think a lot of that has to do with the quarterback play and the scheme that they're running. I mean, let's not forget, Ewers got hurt. Manning came in. At times they were struggling. There was the game against Georgia where they just could not do anything at all. But Golden was fantastic in the playoff run. If you go watch the tape, he was making big plays all over the place. So I really like Matthew Golden. He's an auto draft for me in the second round. If we're looking at the third round, I think guys like Isaac Tesla, who Coach mentioned earlier in our mock drafts, Taj Brooks, who I've talked about. Another name we didn't mention, but I think the collective group of us like is DJ Giddens. He finds himself in Indianapolis where Jonathan Taylor has been known to get injured. And Giddens is a guy that can do everything. And the Colts have historically, when their guy goes down, given the rock to the next guy up.
And Kyle Williams, we add him in there.
Yeah.
We really, really like Kyle Williams. And a great landing spot as well in New England.
Yep, completely agree. We're going to record a full Dynasty Sleeper video here soon, so stay tuned for that. We're going to kind of walk through each of our guys that we have in each round, and as well give you some Dynasty deep dives with names that probably are going to be able to be picked up off waivers. We did this last year, so we've enjoyed doing it, so I think we're going to do that again this year. Go ahead, Coach.
Let me add something. Two landing spots that I really like. I really like Las Vegas, the Raiders. I really like the Raiders, and I really like the Patriots. So that's why Jack Betch is really interesting, right? Because Geno Smith's there now. He has proven that he can sustain wide receivers and that he's a really solid NFL quarterback. Like that will help him. Drake May needs a go-to guy in New England, and that opens the door for a guy like Kyle Williams.
Yeah. Speaking about the Raiders, I mean, you were talking about, the opportunities they have, especially with Geno there. The guy that actually I believe Pete took in one of our mocks, who I think actually has some chances, Dante Thornton Jr. Sure, he went, in the fourth round, but he's 6'5", 205. If he's competing with Betch and Jacoby Myers, I don't see why he couldn't get on the field. 22 years old. We'll just see what he can cook up there. He's probably one of my sleepers, talking about somebody you could probably get off waivers. That's somebody I would be interested in adding just because of the opportunity.
Yeah. And New Era adds that late first, his guy is going to be Luther Burden in a lot of his leagues. LeJontay Wester from Colorado is another later round guy for him. I don't know if I'd necessarily be on Wester's train, but I mean, the opportunity is there. I mean, what these guys got to do is just get on the field. And coach talked a lot about this when we're looking at these rookie drafts, is finding the guys who we see have immediate playing time or something that can manifest into playing time. That's a lot of the reason why we chased Tyrone Tracy this past offseason, just because we saw him go to the Giants and we knew, hey, there's an opportunity where he could beat out Devin Singletary. And Brooks is in that role where he could step in and get some carries. Jaden Blue, he could get some carries in Dallas. We've mentioned Washington, we've mentioned Chicago. Devin Neal in New Orleans is interesting because Kendre Miller has amounted to next to nothing. Justin says he might try Dynasty this year. You should, man. Dynasty's a different game. It's a lot more fun than redraft, in our opinion. I'm speaking for the group here, but I just think it adds another level of where you have to manage your roster long term. You're constantly thinking about things. There is no off season, so you're doing trades all the time, and you make good relationships. You make good friends like these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the longer you do it, I mean, you get to know the guys, and it really does. We just really, really enjoy it. We enjoy it because it makes the off season even more relevant, right? Like I've looked at my roster probably every day for 3 years now. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe not forever, but I've opened it up and looked around every day for probably 3 years straight. Right? Am I wrong? I mean,
yeah, no. I mean, especially our active leagues. Like we've got some leagues that aren't quite as active, but we've got some where there's trades all the time. And you just never know. And every time you see that little button light up on Sleeper that says there's been a trade, you immediately open your phone and our group chat fires up, or there's text in the league chat. And that's the fun part for us.
Yep. Hey, how do you guys feel about Brashard Smith?
Ooh.
What's your take on that?
It's an opportunity. I mean, if you want to talk about a guy who could have a chance, I mean, I know a lot of people liked him out of SMU. Going to the Chiefs, he's behind Pacheco at this point, who, that when Pacheco went down last year, they kind of struggled in the run game. I feel like they showed that they still wanted to run the ball, but they kind of had to lean on the pass game some. So I think it's interesting. I'm not gonna, catapult him up draft boards because he's a Chief, like other players. I mean, we've taken shots on people who were Chiefs players for years now, and it's not really worked out for this point. So, I mean, it is interesting, though. It's kind of in the same scenario as like Taj Brooks and them.
Yeah, I mean, super athletic, interesting landing spot just because it's a fantasy relevant, juicy spot. But I do think that we should temper expectations. The draft capital that the Chiefs used at running back indicates to me that I think Isaiah Pacheco's the guy. Yes, he was injured towards the end of the year, so maybe we're going to see a little bit more stability from him this year and kind of get another year to prove it. But, if he struggles again this year and is, inefficient, can't stay on the field, things like that, then I would expect the Chiefs to kind of look towards a future replacement going forward. But we also need to remember, Coach, that there's those free agents out there that still haven't signed. Mm-hmm. Nick Chubb's posting workout videos somewhere right now, squatting 1,000 pounds. So we'll see where he signs. J.K. Dobbins is still unsigned. So there's guys out there who are going to get some landing spots to make these backfields a little bit more murky.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think there's a chance Chubb is going to go to somewhere somewhat relevant. Now, how much does Chubb have left? I don't really know. That's questionable. But yeah, I mean, Dobbins had a good year last year too. Like he's going to go somewhere and help that team.
Yeah. And these vets,
I'm surprised that Dallas hasn't signed him. Like he's still better to me than Miles Sanders, and that's just me though.
And Javonte. Yeah, he's better than both of those guys.
Yeah. Well, we have hit an hour and 40 minutes, so let's close out, guys. If you are here, we appreciate your time. Be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the Faceoff Sports Network. We've got all sorts of mock videos. You can go back, watch rookie profiles. We've got rankings coming out, Dynasty Sleepers to be determined. So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe, like I said, and we will catch you next time.